Hello friends, welcome back and let's continue our session, which is part 2 on 389 directory server. One more thing I would like to say before I start with it. In the last session I forgot to switch on certain services associated with directory server. They are dir, srv. We have to switch it on. For admin server it's dirserv admin, and for snmp it's dirserv snmp. Okay. Till now we have configured 389 directory server to support or listen on 389 port, which is working on plain LDAP protocol or plain text protocol. So whatever data is transferred through it, that can be sniffed in between. For example, let's talk about the scenario where we try to do an LDAP search from this test machine and run the command tcp dump -i any interface tcp port 389 and write the output to tmp 389.dump. Now let me try to do an LDAP search on it. Okay, LDAP search is a client utility that can be used to contact the LDAP server and fetch the entries from LDAP database. So /etc open ldap is the configuration file that it uses, and after this it uses the configuration file present in users home directory as .ldap.rc. Okay, so TLS folder not yet required, so let it be. URI is infra.ldap.local and base DN, that it will be fetching all the details only from this particular base DN, dc equal to lab comma dc equal to local. So if I do an LDAP search -x and I bind, means connect to the server using the username directory manager, -w is the password for it, manager at 123. It says in directory manager at 123. So I am able to fetch all the entries from it. I just control C and stop TCP dump. Now I'll install a package which is wireshark and wireshark genome. Here you can see that I have already installed these packages. In case you have not yet installed, run the following command: yum install wireshark genome, and you are done. So after you have installed it, let's run the command wireshark. With the file tmp 389.dump. Unprivileged works fine for us. And now I try to follow this TCP stream, and here I find that it's trying to contact the LDAP server using cn equal to directory manager, and this is the password that was used, which was actually wrong. I try to fetch this one and follow TCP stream. Here is the details that it used to connect to. Let's try to follow this stream. And you tried to connect to it using cn equal to directory manager. This is the password. 35596. Okay, let's remove the filter and try to see the second bind. Here it is. Follow TCP stream, and here you can see that here I provided the right credentials, which is username directory manager, password manager at 123, and here you can see all the object classes and details in plain text, which simply means anyone in between these two servers can fetch out the details by sniffing them. So what should be done? Either we can use TLS or SSL to encrypt the channel between the client and the server, and after that any traffic which is going between them will be encrypted and cannot be sniffed. Let us see how. Let's open the admin console and click on directory server. Now go to manage certificates, and as soon as you click on it, you see set security device password. Private keys are stored on a security device which is protected by a password. The security device does not currently have a password. So presently your keys are all stored in a particular file, and that password is not yet provided to it. So it's without the password as of now. So what we need to do is we need to provide a password to it. So whenever we are interacting with the certificates, whenever we are trying to import a certificate, import a certification authority, or whenever we are trying to import some certificate, we need to provide this password. So let's keep the password as password. You can keep it more complex. So I'm done. So right now there are three tabs. One says revoke certificate, second says CA certificates, and third says server certs. So first thing I have to do is I have to create a certificate for this 389 directory server. For this I'll be creating a certificate signing request which will be signed by the certification authority. So server is infra.labs.local, organization, your organization name, unit, education, city, your city name, country, India, state, Rajasthan. So this is the password that you are required to provide it before a request is made. Password, and next save it to a file, infrads.csr. Okay, now I'll get this CSR signed with the certification authority. So I'll move to /etc pki ca, and I copy that file from that location to CSR, and now I'll be using my certification authority to sign it. Open SSL CA -n CSR, and out will be certificate certs. Provide the password LDAPS CA, confirm by pressing yes. It says failed to update the database, txtdb error number 2. This may happen when you are creating multiple certificates corresponding to the same server. So to prevent it, you need to modify a file /etc pki TLS openssl.conf and uncomment unique subject equal to no. Now this certification authority is able to sign multiple certificates corresponding to the same host name. Write and quit. There is one more entry which is /etc pki tls index.txt.atr. So in this, here you can see that unique subject equal to yes. Let's mark it as no. And now let's try to sign it. Labs CA. Do you want to sign it for 10 years? Yes. And it has created it. Now we have received a certificate, and that's present in certs folder. Okay. Now the objective is to import the CS. I'm done with it. The objective is to import the certification authority and server certificate in this directory server database. So directory server database is present in /etc dirserv /slapd infra, and the utility that can be used to import is cert util. -h is for help. Okay. Okay. So I come out of the test machine and I move to /etc dirserv /slapd infra. Fine. Cert util -a to add a certificate, -d is the directory where the database is stored. Here you can see cert directory. This is this folder, minus name of the certificate will be labs CA. Okay. Trusted args. It has the form x comma y comma z. X stands for SSL, y stands for smime. We don't need smime or code signing, so let's focus on x. For x, we can see T says trust the certification authority for client certificates, and C says trust the certification authority to issue server certificates. So we are going to trust the certification authority for both the cases, C and T capital. -t ct comma 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 comma, both are blank, they are corresponding to smime and code signing. Okay, so final thing we are left with is the file. -i specify the certificate file. -i /etc pki ca certs infrads.crt. Oh, sorry. Let me delete it. Actually, I did a mistake. It should be rather certification authority. -d -n and dot. Okay. Cert util -d -directory is this one, and -n lab ca. Okay, so here labs ca is the certification authority. Labs.ca certification authority is imported, and now I'll import infrads, but the name is going to be different. The name will be infrads. So I have imported the certification authority as well as certificate for this directory server. Let me close it and manage certificates. Here I can see the certificate corresponding to 389 directory server, and this is certification authority. Perfect. I am done with this part. So the next part is to tell the directory server to use these certificates. Coming on to configuration, encryption, enable SSL for this server, use this cipher family RSA, and save. These changes will not take effect until you restart them. CA certificate chain has been installed. Okay, now let's try to restart. Okay, before that, if we have a look into it, 389.636. So right now directory server is listening only on 386, 389, not on 636. If I just restart it, okay, it is asking you for the password. This is the password of the key database that you provided as password. In case you don't want it to ask for the password again and again at the time you restart the service, just copy it and create a file pin.txt, and this is the password. In your case it could be xyz or something like that. chmod 400 pin.txt. Now if I try to restart directory server, perfect, it's not asking me for the password because that's already saved. Now I try to grab 389 and 636, and now I can see that it's listening on 636. Perfect. Nothing else is required to be modified as of now. Okay, now the directory server is listening on 636, and let me see whether the firewall rules allow the traffic to it. Yes, firewall rules already allow traffic to 636, and let me save the IP tables rule, service IP tables save. In case they are not, you'll have to add the rule. I'll show you IP tables -s 192.168.1.0/24 -p TCP -d port 636 -j accept. So this is the rule that you may have to add in case it's not present. Okay, coming on to the client machine and try to do LDAP search query now. It works fine because this is listening on 389 also. Okay, now if I want to enforce the connections using TLS, I can just type the command -zz. Peer issuer has been marked as not trusted by the user. Okay, so to trust it, /etc pki ca labs.ca. This is the certificate. I'll copy it to test vm /etc open LDAP ca certs. Let me try to run it now. Peer certificate issuer has been marked as not trusted by the user. Okay, /etc pki /etc c open LDAP ca certs labs.ca. This is the file that I can add in /etc open LDAP ldap.conf, and the parameter will be TLS underscore CAcert. And as I have installed the CA certificate which has signed this certificate for LDAP server, I can do LDAP search. And I'll show you one more thing. cn equal to directory manager w, and before that let me switch on TCP dump on it. -i any TCP port 389, because the traffic is all going through 389. -w tmp 389.dump. I was able to fetch the details, and let me see if I am able to capture the credentials now. Wireshark, here is Wireshark, and let me try. This is out of order, leave it aside. Follow TCP stream, and here you can see start TLS request accepted, server willing to negotiate. And if you try to fetch out the details from it, it's all encrypted. Till here, this is the certificate negotiation that is going on. So if you try to fetch out something from it, it's not possible, because everything is encrypted. So either you can use TLS that I am using right now on the same port 389, or the other way out is you can directly use SSL. In case we want to configure it to use TLS, let us see how. I will modify and run a auth config TUI, use LDAP, use LDAP authentication, next, use TLS, and same LDAP protocol. Now /etc init.d nslcd is already restarted. chk config nslcd on get ent password, so it was not able to fetch the details. Let me see why. Because NSLCD doesn't have the CA certificate as of now. So moving on to /etc nslcd.conf, TLS CA cert file is okay, and SSL means start TLS. Let me see if the file exists. NSLCD is running as a user NSLCD, and chmod O plus read. Others should be able to read it. Let me try to run get ent password once again. after restarting the service, because previously others were not able to read. So what actually was happening was NSLCD service was not able to read that certificate. Now here you can see you are able to fetch the details from it, and it's all happening over the TLS. So we can just try doing NSLCD restart and then get ENT password, get ENT shadow, and if we stop it and run wireshark, we'll see that here is the acknowledgement out of order. If you try, it's LDAP start TLS. So finally, whatever data you are getting, sending or receiving, it's all happening over the TLS. So effectively you are not able to fetch any details out of it. No credentials, no user information. The other way around is you can use SSL. I'll show you how to implement it. The only modification will be auth config TUI, use LDAP for authentication, and instead of using TLS we will be using LDAPS protocol /etc init.d NSLCD restart, get ENT password, and here you can see you have the LDAP user. The same happens with LDAP group. So yes, finally you are able to fetch and interact with the 389 directory server over SSL, and nothing can be sniffed from your traffic that you are sending or receiving. Okay, so that's it for this session. Thanks for viewing the video. Have a good day.